everyone. We talk a lot on our YouTube channel about raising poultry for meat, raising our meat birds or raising dual purpose birds. But today we're going to go one step further and talk about a way to preserve those meat birds that we've worked really hard to raise and process. I bet you can tell by looking at my mat here what we're going to be talking about. We are going to be going through the process of canning chicken. Now, there's different methods out there for canning chicken, but you want to use a method that is approved and safe for canning chicken. Chicken needs to be pressure canned, so you're going to want to make sure that you have a good quality pressure canner. For the method, I like to use a book like this one here, the Ball Canning book. This is one of the most recent versions that they have out there, and I know the method in here is going to be safe. If you're not sure, maybe you have an older book, you can check your local university extension website. There's lots of canning recipes on there. I've also left a link in the description below with some additional canning resources for you. So in my book here, it has how to can our chicken towards the back of the book. Go ahead and open that up. My book is well loved and has lots of bookmarks in it. So this method that we're using here can be used for any type of bird. So chicken, duck, goose, turkey, and game birds. There's two different ways when it comes to canning our chicken. You can do a raw pack method, which is you're just cutting up the chicken. You can leave the bone in or you can take the bones out. And you're going to be packing the chicken into a room temperature mason jar, and you're going to let the chicken produce its juice on its own while it's going through the pressure canning process. The other method, which is the method I'm doing today, is the hot pack method. Oh, that's hard to say. With that process, I am going to make sure that my jars are heated up. I'm also going to heat up some chicken broth. I'm going to bring it to a boil and a simmer so we can use that to add to our mason jars. I'm also going to par cook my chicken. So I actually like to steam it till it's about 2/3 of the way cooked, and then it's going to go into my mason jars. You can use whatever method you like and whichever is easiest for you. The particular recipe that we are using today gives you instructions for both pints and quarts. I'm actually using pints today. I like that smaller size. It's just a little easier for me. You also want to make sure that you've got good rings for your jars, that there's any sort of rust or anything like that on your rings. You want to have really good lids, so I have some new ones here that haven't been used yet, so we're going to use these today. I also like to make sure that I have labels set aside. So I use these dissolvable labels, and when I'm all done canning and after the jars have sat for 24 hours, I'll put these labels on there with what's in the mason jar and the date. It just helps to keep my canning or my canning shelf, my pantry, all nice and organized. I also have a little journal that I keep next to all my canned items so I can kind of keep track of what I've canned and when I've canned it. Whichever method you're using, you want to make sure that your jars are super clean before you get started and they've gone through all the proper procedures as far as sanitizing the jars. If you're going to be using the raw pack method, you can go ahead and just cut up your chicken into bite-sized pieces or whatever size pieces you'd like, and you can start packing it into the mason jar. Same thing with the hot pack method. You're going to cut up your chicken however you'd like and start packing that into your mason jar. You want to make sure you leave a generous inch of headspace at the top of your jar. I tend to go more towards 1.25 inches, and I'm starting to see that on a lot of recipes that they're promoting more of that 1.25 inch headspace. If you are doing the hot pack method, you're going to want to, after you've packed your chicken in there, go ahead and ladle on your hot water or your broth into your jar. Again, you want to make sure you're leaving that generous headspace at the top. Using a tool like this right here helps us make sure that we have no air bubbles in our jar, so I'm going to check around there. And it's going to also help me measure and adjust my headspace. Make sure I have everything correct at the top there. After everything is in the mason jars, you're going to take a paper towel with some vinegar and give that lid a good wipe. We don't want anything left on there that can prevent our jars from sealing. I like to set my lid in the center of my jar, and then I put my band on top and I screw it down just until it's finger tight. So I kind of give it a little turn, feel that resistance, and then a little bit more turn so it's finger tight. You don't want to make your lids too tight on there or they're not going to seal properly. How long you process your chicken depends on if you have bone in or no bone, and also the size of mason jar that you're using. Here are the times on the screen for you here. After you have completed the whole process with your pressure canner, be sure that you take your jars out, allow them to cool completely, keep an eye on your lids and make sure that they seal. And then when everything is all cool, I like to wait 24 hours. I go ahead and I put my chicken into my cantry. Canning chicken is surprisingly easy. When I first started canning, and it's only been a few years since I've really been doing a lot of canning, chicken intimidated me. It's canning meat. It's something totally different. But once you do it once, you realize it's so easy and really fun and so cool to see on your pantry shelf that you have canned this chicken. Maybe you've raised your chicken or you've bought your chicken from a local farm, and it just gives you that sense of pride and accomplishment in your canned chicken. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Well, I have one more batch of chicken that I need to can, so I'm going to get to work. Thank you so much for watching.